Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Siebert. It's time to have our tropical forecast update for the day, and we have some changes to talk about. This little disturbance we've been tracking in the Caribbean is becoming a little pesky. So here's a look at the satellite imagery, and so right now the low itself is just about over Belize, so it's working its way across the Yucatan right now. But what's changing is what's going to happen once it reaches the Gulf of Mexico. And again, this is that time of year when one change in the forecast can dramatically change exactly what's going to happen. The last several days we've been talking about how the Hurricane Center was saying that it most likely would just head right into Mexico. Well, we got some changes because a front is going to be coming down that will get here by about Monday. Everything's going to get moved around in the Gulf of Mexico. And again, this time of year, when we're changing from summer to autumn, and again for us in Houston it takes a long time for that to happen, but the rest of the country, once you hit September, cold fronts start coming down and changing things. So a front's going to come down, this high is going to get moved out of the way, and that movement is going to have a huge impact on what's going to happen with the forecast. So let's show you what we're talking about. This is it. So the low is now actually over land. We don't expect anything to happen for the next day or two. So 0% chance for 2 days, 30% once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. So we're not talking about an explosion here. We're talking about a wave of energy that's going to be moving around. So let's take a look at the GFS and our GFS model that just shows the GFS. So here you go. It comes out to the Gulf. That's Sunday evening. Then it tracks across the Gulf because that high pressure has moved completely out of the way. Now, if this is the case, which at this point looks like it might be, that this would actually bring drier weather again to Houston because the winds would be kind of coming around this low. And at this point, we're not even sure what this is yet. It might just be a tropical low, might not even be a depression as of yet. But what happens is it gets closer here from Wednesday night. That's when it shows more organization, when it comes over to the east a little bit more into the panhandle of Florida and then makes landfall from there. So now here's the GFS versus the European model. So we're going to look at both now. So you put this into motion. So this is the European, this is the GFS. So we were just looking at the GFS. Now look how the European is a little bit different. It's a little bit faster and a little bit more to the east as we go on into Tuesday and then making landfall Wednesday. So there's the GFS, there's the European model. They're kind of close together already. So at this point, we just got to wait and see what happens. And if you look at these, it really appears that it starts off as a wave, and that wave of energy kind of works into the central parts of the Gulf of Mexico, and things don't really get more organized until it's east. Now, the computer models are still all over the place because, again, we don't have a closed low. It's over land. But the TABM and the TABRD, I should say, they tend to look at the long range a little bit faster than the other ones. So right here, the HRWF, which is a great model, watch it change tomorrow. Once we see when those three models start to come together, and again, it's pretty early on, so the longer range models are the only thing that are really looking at this point anyway. And again, we're at that point where we don't have that closed low, but we do expect it to happen sometime. So you see how the models, look how the HRWF is down here, it's initializing down here, and these other models are up here to the north. So they can't even decide on where the low is right now, and that's never a good thing when you're trying to use modeling to forecast. So this is something we'll have to watch, but at this point, it does appear like whatever happens is gonna push towards the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Now let's talk about Larry for just a second. It's now a Category 2 hurricane, winds at 100 miles an hour. We expect it to continue to organize, become a major hurricane by tomorrow, and then a Category 4 as it starts to come towards the United States. So it starts to curve. So Bermuda, this might be more of a concern. It does look like it's going to continue that curve, so it might pass to the northeast of Bermuda, but it's going to be a close call for those folks. But the fronts that are now coming down out of Canada, they're going to go out into the Atlantic, and most likely will take whatever happens with Hurricane Larry and push it back out to sea. But it's all about a timing thing because the front's not there yet. The two things have to kind of come together. So there's a lot going on right now with our hurricanes. And as far as now that we're in September, we're getting right up to that peak now, which is just a week and a half away. And then the peak, we start to go down after that. So it's not a surprise that we continue to see a lot of activity out there. That's what we got right now. So we do need to continue to watch what's going to happen in the Gulf of Mexico. It does appear that whatever's going to form will head towards the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And again, thanks to that front, a front that will come down. The models can't even agree on Monday where that front will be. The European model takes the front out into the Gulf of Mexico, which is why the European model pushes that low further to the east. The GFS is a little bit more conservative, but it still pushes that all the way over there into Florida again as well. So this is one we will continue to watch through the weekend and going on into next week, and so we'll continue to give you those updates. But for now, just always be prepared as we're at the height of hurricane season, and we'll talk to you next time.